I was 13 years old when my father told me I was getting married. Not asked, told. The way you tell someone to pass the salt or close the door. That's how little it mattered. My opinion, my feelings, my life. I remember the smell that day. Cardamom tea cooling on the table. My mother had made it special, the way she did when guests came. Except these weren't guests. This was a business meeting. And I was the product being sold. Amina, come here. My father's voice cut through the afternoon heat like a blade. I walked into the sitting room, my bare feet silent on the cool tile. 3 men sat with him. Old men. Gray beards, hard eyes, expensive robes. One of them looked at me the way my uncle looked at goats at the market, assessing value, checking teeth, calculating worth. I was wearing my school uniform. Blue hijab, white shirt, navy skirt that fell below my knees. I'd gotten an A on my math test that morning. I'd been so proud. I was going to show my father, tell him about the scholarship program my teacher mentioned. Maybe, just maybe, I could go to secondary school. Maybe I could become a teacher or a nurse or something, anything, more than just another wife imprisoned in another house. This is Sheikh Hassan, my father said. He didn't look at me when he spoke. He never did. You will be his 3rd wife. The wedding is in 6 weeks, after you finish your cycle. After you finish your cycle. Even now, those words make my stomach turn. They weren't talking about me graduating. They meant my period. They were waiting to make sure I could breed. That I was functioning property. I stood there, frozen. My tongue stuck to the roof of my mouth. The room tilted sideways. Sheikh Hassan smiled. His teeth were stained brown from decades of tobacco. He was older than my father. Maybe 60. Maybe more. She's pretty, he said, like I wasn't standing right there. Like I was a carpet he was considering. Good hips. She'll give me sons. My father nodded. She's healthy. Strong. A virgin, of course. And obedient. He finally looked at me then, and his eyes were dead. Empty. Aren't you Amina? What was I supposed to say? The word no didn't exist for girls like me. It had been trained out of me since I could walk. No, don't speak loudly. No, don't laugh in public. No, don't look at boys. No, don't question your father. No, don't want anything. No, 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 until the word dissolved completely, and all that was left was silence. Yes, father, I whispered. Good. He turned back to Sheikh Hassan. The dowry we discussed, $5,000 and a 20% stake in your textile business. $5,000. I was worth $5,000 and partial ownership of a factory that made cheap sheets for hotels. My knees started to shake. I dug my fingernails into my palms, trying to focus on anything except the fact that my entire future had just been sold in the time it takes to drink tea. The pain helped. Sharp. Real. Unlike this nightmare that felt like it was happening to someone else. But it wasn't happening to someone else. It was happening to me. Sheikh Hassan stood up, walked over, and lifted my chin with his rough, calloused hand. His breath smelled like cigarettes and decay. Lower your eyes, he commanded. A wife should not stare at her husband. I wasn't his wife yet. I was a child. I was 13 years old. But I lowered my eyes because what choice did I have? She'll learn, my father said. Her mother will teach her wifely duties. The way he said those words made my skin crawl. I didn't understand then, not fully what he meant. But I felt it. The weight of it. The violation waiting for me like a monster under the bed, except this monster was legal. Sanctioned. Blessed by imams and celebrated with parties. When the men finally left, I ran to my mother. She was in the kitchen, scrubbing the tea glasses with the kind of violence that said everything her mouth couldn't. I grabbed her arm. Ummi, please. My voice cracked. Tears poured down my face, hot and desperate. Please don't let him do this. I'm just a girl. I want to finish school. I want. She spun around and slapped me. Hard. The shock hurt more than the sting. You want. Her voice was low, dangerous. You want? Since when does what you want matter? Do you think I wanted this life? Do you think I wanted to marry your father at 15? To have 7 babies before I turned 25? to watch 3 of them die. Her eyes were dry. She'd cried all her tears decades ago. This is our life, Amina. This is what Allah has decreed for women. We submit. We survive. We do not want. I stared at her, this woman who'd bathed me, fed me, sung me lullabies, and I realized something that shattered what was left of my childhood. She wasn't going to save me. She couldn't, because she'd never saved herself. That night, I lay in my bed, the small, thin mattress in the room I shared with my 3 younger sisters, and I watched the moon through the barred window. Barred. I'd never really noticed before. They said it was for safety, to keep bad men out. But lying there, knowing what was coming, I understood the truth. The bars weren't to keep danger out. They were to keep us in. I tried to pray. Allah, I whispered into the darkness. Please. Please help me. I'm scared. I'm so scared. But the words felt like stones falling into a bottomless well. No echo. No answer. Just silence and the sound of my sisters breathing beside me, too young to understand that one day, maybe soon, they'd be lying in this same bed, praying the same desperate prayers to the same silent God. I counted the days on my fingers. 42 days until the wedding. 42 days until I put on a heavy, suffocating dress and signed my life away. 42 days until I became property, legal, religious, sanctioned property. I was 13 years old. I'd gotten an A on my math test that morning. And in 6 weeks, I'd be the 3rd wife of a man who looked at me like livestock. Let me take you back to before that day, before everything shattered. Back when I was still naive enough to believe that being a good girl would save me. I need you to understand something about my father. He wasn't a monster in the way you see in movies, screaming, violent, obviously evil. He was worse. He was cold, methodical, righteous. He believed, truly, deeply believed, that selling his daughter to an old man was an act of faith, of duty, of honor. His name was Khalil. People in our community respected him. He prayed 5 times a day, never missed Friday prayers at the mosque, gave to charity, quoted the Quran with authority. He provided for us food, shelter, clothes. By every measure our culture valued, he was a good man. But he never once looked at me like I was human. I have 3 brothers and 4 sisters. My brothers, Ahmed, Omar, and little Youssef, they were the future. The legacy. The ones who mattered. They got new shoes when they needed them, extra food at dinner, encouragement to study, plans for university, and careers and lives that stretched beyond our small town. My sisters and I, we got warnings. Don't laugh too loud. Men will think you're loose. Cover properly. Your body is shame waiting to happen. Learn to cook. Your value is in your service. Stay quiet. No man wants a wife with opinions. I was the oldest daughter. That made me the first sacrifice. My mother, Fatima, was 43 years old and looked 60. 8 pregnancies. 3 dead children. 28 years married to a man who treated her like furniture. Useful, necessary, but not worth conversation. She'd been beautiful once. I'd seen the wedding photo, hidden in a drawer. A girl with bright eyes and a shy smile, holding flowers, wearing hope like jewelry. That girl was dead. The woman who remained was a ghost, going through motions, teaching her daughters how to disappear. The 6 weeks between the announcement and the wedding were the longest and shortest of my life. Time moved like honey, thick, suffocating, impossibly slow, and yet the days evaporated like water in the desert sun. Every morning I woke up thinking maybe it had been a nightmare. Every morning reality crushed me again. 2 weeks before the wedding, Sheikh Hassan came to our house for the official engagement ceremony. The women gathered in our small living room, my mother, my aunts, my grandmother, neighbors. They brought sweets and sang traditional songs and ululated with those high-pitched sounds that are supposed to mean joy but sounded like sirens to me. Warnings. Alarms. Screams trapped in celebration. They dressed me up like a doll. A bright pink dress, heavy with embroidery. Gold jewelry borrowed from my aunt. Thick necklace, dangling earrings that pulled at my lobes, bangles that clinked with every trembling movement. They painted my eyes with black coal, my lips with dark red lipstick. They braided my hair with flowers. I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize myself. The girl staring back looked like a bride, like a woman. But inside, I was still a child screaming for help. Sheikh Hassan arrived with his family. His first 2 wives came with him. I watched them carefully, desperately searching for some sign. Would they be kind? Would they protect me? Would they understand? The first wife, Jamila, was maybe 45. Tired eyes, bent shoulders. She looked at me with something I couldn't read. Pity? Resentment? Warning? She said nothing, just pressed her lips together and looked away. The second wife, Noor, was younger, maybe 30. Pretty, but with a hardness around her mouth. When she looked at me, I saw something clear. Hatred. I was the new, young replacement. The evidence that she wasn't enough. That none of us would ever be enough. She leaned close during the tea service, when no one else could hear, and whispered in my ear, "He'll break you. Just like he broke me. Just like he broke Jamila. And when he's done, he'll find another. We are nothing to him. And you'll be nothing too." My hand shook so hard I nearly dropped the tea tray. Sheikh Hassan sat with my father in the men's section, separated by a decorative screen. But I could hear them. Laughing. Negotiating final details. Planning my life like they were planning a construction project. "She's young," Sheikh Hassan said. "Trainable. That's good. The older ones come with opinions." More laughter. "I'll mold her properly. Teach her what a wife should be. Trainable. Like a dog. Like an animal." My grandmother, my father's mother, came and sat beside me. She was ancient, maybe 80, with clouded eyes and gnarled hands. She'd been married at 12, widowed at 30, lived with my father ever since, silent and obedient. She took my trembling hand in hers. I thought, hoped, she'd offer comfort, solidarity, some secret wisdom about how to survive. Instead, she smiled. "You're blessed," she said. "Sheikh Hassan is wealthy. You'll never be hungry. You'll have security, status. This is more than most girls get." "But grandmother," I whispered, my voice breaking, "I'm scared. He's so old. I don't love him. I don't even know him." Her smile faded. Her grip on my hand tightened, painful. "Love." She spat the word like poison. "Love is a Western disease. Love is what destroys families, ruins reputations, breaks honor. You don't need love, child. You need submission. Accept your fate. It's Allah's will." Allah's will. Those words were chains. They meant, stop fighting, stop hoping, stop being human. Just accept. Submit. Disappear. The engagement ceremony ended with a formal contract signing. Sheikh Hassan placed a ring on my finger. Gold. Heavy. Too big. It spun around loosely, like even the jewelry knew I wasn't ready for this. Everyone celebrated. More ululations. More sweets. More congratulations to my father for making such a good match, such a profitable alliance. No one congratulated me. No one asked if I was okay. No one seemed to notice I was crying behind my forced smile. That night, after everyone left, I tried one more time. I went to my father's study, where he sat reviewing business papers. I knocked softly. "What?" He didn't look up. "Father, My voice was barely audible. "I'm scared. Please. I don't want to marry Sheikh Hassan. I'm too young. I want to finish school. Please, I'm begging you." He looked up then, and his eyes were empty. Completely empty. "Do you know what you're asking me to do?" His voice was quiet. Deadly. "You're asking me to break a contract. To humiliate myself in front of the community. To lose a business partnership worth hundreds of thousands. To damage our family's honor. Honor I've spent my entire life building. For what? Your feelings? I'm your daughter. You are my responsibility." He stood up, towering over me. "And my responsibility is to see you properly settled, provided for, protected. I have done that. Sheikh Hassan is a good Muslim, a respected businessman, a man of means. You should be grateful." But I'm 13. Your mother was 15 when I married her. My mother was 12. This is our way. This is Islam. Are you questioning your faith, Amina? The threat in his voice was clear. Questioning the marriage meant questioning religion. And questioning religion meant apostasy. Punishment. Death. I backed away, tears streaming down my face. You will marry Sheikh Hassan in 4 weeks, he said, sitting back down. You will be an obedient wife. You will bring honor to this family. Or... He finally looked at me again, and his eyes were stone. Or you'll wish you had. Now get out. I stumbled to my room, collapsed on my mattress, and sobbed into my pillow so my sisters wouldn't wake. My whole body shook. My chest ached like something was breaking inside, cracking apart, dying. I prayed that night. Desperate, choking prayers. Allah, if you're there, if you care at all, please help me. Change my father's heart. Make Sheikh Hassan change his mind. Send someone to save me. I'll do anything. I'll be perfect. I'll pray more, fast more, obey more. Just please, please don't make me do this. The ceiling stared back at me. Silent, indifferent, cold. And in that silence, something inside me started to die. The part that believed anyone was listening. The part that hoped for rescue. The part that still believed I mattered. For weeks. 28 days. 672 hours until I stopped being Amina and became property. And no one, not my father, not my mother, not Allah, not anyone, was coming to save me. The next 4 weeks, I became a ghost in my own life. I watched myself go through the motions, eating, sleeping, breathing, but I wasn't really there anymore. I'd learned to float somewhere above my body, detached, numb, because feeling everything would have killed me. The women prepared me for marriage the way you prepare meat for cooking. Tenderize. Season. Make it palatable for consumption. My mother started teaching me wifely duties. We'd sit in the kitchen after my sisters went to bed, and she'd speak in this flat, emotionless voice, like she was reading a recipe for bread instead of instructing her 13-year-old daughter on how to survive being raped legally. When he comes to you at night, she said, not looking at me, her hands mechanically kneading dough, don't fight. It only makes it worse. Lay still. Let him finish. Pray it's quick. My stomach turned. Ummi, I don't understand what you mean. You will. She finally looked at me then, and her eyes were dead. After the wedding night, you'll understand. Just remember, this is your duty. Your obligation. Fighting is sin. Submission is virtue. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. But where? I was 13 years old in a culture where a girl alone on the street was either a prostitute or a target. Where family was everything and nothing existed outside its walls. Where even if I ran, they'd find me, drag me back, and the punishment would be worse than the original fate. I was trapped in a cage with no walls, just tradition, religion, fear, and the weight of centuries of women who'd submitted before me. The hammam, the women's bathhouse, became another place of torture disguised as tradition. My aunts took me there 2 weeks before the wedding for the ritual cleansing. It was supposed to be celebratory. Women celebrating womanhood, preparing a bride, sharing wisdom. It was humiliating. They stripped me naked in front of 20 women, aunts, cousins, neighbors. All of them inspecting me like merchandise. Commenting on my body. My breasts, too small yet, but they'd grow with pregnancy. My hips, good width, good for childbearing. My skin needed lightening cream. Sheikh Hassan would want a fair wife. They scrubbed me raw with rough mitts, removing every hair from my body except my head. The pain was excruciating, but I wasn't allowed to cry out. Brides endure. Brides are strong. Brides smile through pain, because that's practice for marriage. My Aunt Layla, my mother's sister, washed my hair with expensive jasmine-scented soap. She was gentler than the others, and for a moment, I thought maybe she'd be different. Maybe she'd whisper encouragement or solidarity. Instead, she said, "Your wedding night will hurt. Every girl's does. But by the 3rd or 4th time, your body adjusts. You learn to tolerate it. Eventually, you might even..." She paused, uncomfortable. You might even feel pleasure. But that's shameful. Good women don't enjoy it. We endure it. For children. For duty. I sat there, naked and cold despite the steam, surrounded by women who'd all survived what I was about to endure, and not one of them said, "This is wrong. You're too young. This shouldn't happen." Because they couldn't. Admitting it was wrong meant admitting their lives were wrong. Their suffering was meaningless. Their silence was complicity. And that truth was too heavy to carry. So they celebrated. They sang. They ululated. They decorated my hands with elaborate henna designs, symbols of joy, fertility, prosperity. The paste was cold and smelled like earth. It took 4 hours. My hands cramped from sitting still. The designs were beautiful, intricate, prison bars made of art. During those hours, my mind wandered to Allah, to prayer, to faith. I'd been taught since birth that Allah was merciful, compassionate, all-knowing, that He loved us, that He had a plan, that submission to His will brought peace. But where was His mercy now? Where was His compassion? What kind of God designed a world where baby girls were sold to old men and called it holy? I tried to pray. I forced myself through the motions 5 times a day. But the words felt hollow. Empty rituals. I'd kneel on my prayer mat, face toward Mecca, and whisper, "Please, please hear me. Please help me." Nothing. Just silence. Always silence. One night, a week before the wedding, I couldn't take it anymore. I waited until everyone was asleep, then I snuck out to our tiny courtyard. The stars were out, brilliant, cold, distant. Like Allah. I prostrated myself on the ground, forehead pressed to the cool stone, and I begged, "Allah, I don't understand. Why did you make me a woman? Why did you curse me? My brothers get freedom, education, choices, futures. I get sold, used, erased. If you're just and merciful like they say, then where is your justice? Where is your mercy?" My voice cracked. Tears soaked the ground beneath my face. I've tried to be good. I've prayed. I've fasted. I've obeyed. I've worn the hijab. I've been modest. I've been silent. What more do you want from me? My childhood? You took that. My future? You're taking that. My body? That's next. What else is left? The stars blinked. Indifferent. The night air was silent except for distant dogs barking. "Please," I whispered, my voice breaking completely. "Please just let me die. I don't want to wake up on my wedding day. I don't want to feel what he's going to do to me. I don't want to live as property. Please, if you love me at all, take me. Let me die in my sleep." That's the only mercy left. I stayed there for an hour, maybe more, praying for death, begging for it, negotiating with a God who felt as real as a fairy tale. He didn't answer. He never did. I went back inside, climbed into bed beside my sleeping sisters, and stared at the ceiling until dawn. My eyes were dry. I'd cried every tear my body could produce. All that remained was emptiness, a hollow where hope used to live. The next morning, my mother announced it was time to buy my wedding dress. She said it with the same enthusiasm you'd used to say, "Time to clean the bathroom." This was just another chore, another obligation, another step in the process of erasing her daughter. We went to the market, me, my mother, 2 aunts. The dress shop was cramped and hot, smelling of fabric dye and incense. The owner, a plump woman with too much makeup and a fake smile, brought out dress after dress. White, gold embroidery, sequins, pearls. Heavy, expensive, suffocating. They made me try on 6 different dresses. Each one weighed at least 15 pounds. The fabric was stiff. The embellishments scratched my skin. The corset underneath crushed my ribs, so I could barely breathe. "This is the one," my mother finally declared, looking at me in a dress that cost more than she earned in 2 years. "You look like a proper bride." I looked like a corpse. Decorated. Displayed. Dead inside. The seamstress took my measurements, pinching and prodding, talking about alterations. "She's so thin," she commented. "We'll need to pad the bust. And the hips. Make her look more mature." More mature. I was 13. I hadn't even started growing yet. But they needed me to look like a woman so the old man buying me could feel less like a predator. That night, I tried one last time with my mother. We were alone in the kitchen. She was making bread. I was supposed to be helping, but I just stood there, watching her hands work the dough, the same hands that used to comfort me when I had nightmares, braid my hair for school, wipe my tears when I fell. "Ummi," I said quietly, "do you love me?" Her hands paused, just for a second, then continued kneading. "Of course," she said automatically. "Then how can you let this happen?" The kneading stopped. She stood very still, her back to me. Her shoulders rose and fell with a deep breath. "You think I have a choice?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "You think if I could save you, I wouldn't? But what can I do, Amina? Tell your father no? He'd divorce me. Throw me out. And then what happens to you? To your sisters? I'd have no protection. No home. No money. We'd all starve or worse." She turned around then, and I saw tears on her face, the first tears I'd seen from her in years. "I'm not strong enough to save you," she said, and her voice broke. "I wasn't strong enough to save myself. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But this is the only way we survive. By submitting. By enduring. By dying inside, so our bodies can keep living." She reached for me, tried to pull me into a hug, but I stepped back. Because in that moment, I understood. She loved me, but her love was powerless. Paralyzed. Prison-bound. And love without power is just another form of cruelty. 5 days before the wedding, I stopped praying. I folded up my prayer mat, shoved it under my bed, and didn't take it out again. If Allah was real and allowed this, He wasn't worth worshipping. If He wasn't real, then I'd been praying to nothing my whole life anyway. Either way, the silence was the same. 3 days before my wedding, the housemaid saved my life. Though I didn't know it yet. Her name was Maria. She was Filipino, maybe 30 years old, with kind eyes and a quiet presence. She'd worked for our family for 2 years, cleaning, cooking, doing the work my mother was too exhausted to do alone. We barely spoke to her. In our culture, domestic workers were invisible, necessary, but beneath notice. I'd never really looked at her before. Not as a person, just as staff. But that morning, when she was cleaning the bathroom I shared with my sisters, she did something that changed everything. She left a note tucked inside my hairbrush. I found it after she'd left the room. A tiny piece of paper, folded small. My hands shook as I opened it. My first thought was fear. What if it's a test? What if my father put her up to this? What if it's a trap to see if I'll disobey? But desperation won. I unfolded it. In simple English, she knew I studied it at school. She'd written, John 8 verse 36. "If the Son sets you free, you'll be free indeed." Below that, "You are worth more than this. M." I stared at those words until they blurred. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might break through my chest. This was forbidden. Haram. Christians were kafir, unbelievers, corrupted, damned. We were taught they'd twisted the truth, changed the scriptures, worshipped 3 gods instead of one. And yet, you are worth more than this. No one, not one single person in my entire life, had ever said those words to me. Did I memorize the reference? John 8 verse 36. Then I tore the note into tiny pieces and flushed it down the toilet. Evidence destroyed. But the words stayed, burning in my mind like a brand. That night, when everyone was asleep, I pulled out the phone I'd hidden, an old smartphone my brother had discarded when he got a new one. I'd secretly kept it, charging it in the bathroom when no one was looking, using it to search for anything that might offer escape. Shelters. Women's rights organizations. Anything. I'd found nothing. Every organization required parental consent for minors. Every shelter asked for documentation I didn't have. Every escape route led back to the same truth. I was property, and property can't free itself. But now I had something new. John 8 verse 36. I turned on the phone, volume muted, screen brightness at minimum. My hands shook so badly, I misspelled the search twice. Finally, John 8 verse 36 Bible. The verse appeared. So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. Free. That word felt like a language I'd forgotten. A concept so foreign it almost didn't compute. I clicked on another link. Bible Gateway. The whole chapter was there. I started reading from the beginning. John chapter 8. It was a story about a woman. A woman caught in adultery, which in my culture meant death. Stoning. The religious leaders dragged her before Jesus, ready to execute her according to the law. And Jesus, he didn't stone her. He didn't condemn her. He said, "Let him who is without sin cast the first stone." One by one, the men dropped their stones and walked away. Then Jesus asked the woman, "Where are they? Has no one condemned you?" "No one, sir," she said. "Then neither do I condemn you. Go now and leave your life of sin." I read it 3 times. 4 times. My throat tightened. Tears blurred the screen. This Jesus, he protected a woman. He valued a woman's life over religious law. He spoke to her with respect, with mercy, with authority to free her when everyone else wanted her dead. I'd never heard anything like this. In Islam, a woman caught in adultery was stoned, buried up to her chest, and executed. Her testimony didn't matter. Her side of the story didn't matter. Only the law mattered. Only shame and honor and punishment. But Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you." I clicked another link. Who was Jesus? I knew the Islamic version. Isa, a prophet, a good man, but nothing more. Christians were wrong to worship him. That's what I'd been taught. But I started reading. Really reading. Not Islamic websites telling me what Christians believed. Actual Christian websites. The Gospels themselves. Matthew 9, Jesus ate with prostitutes and sinners. The religious leaders criticized him. He said, "It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick." Luke 7, a sinful woman washed Jesus' feet with her tears and dried them with her hair. People were disgusted. Jesus forgave her sins and said, "Your faith has saved you. Go in peace." Luke 8, women traveled with Jesus, supported him, learned from him. Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Susanna, and many others. Women were his disciples. John 4, Jesus spoke to a Samaritan woman at a well. Alone. In public. This was scandalous. Rabbis didn't speak to women publicly, especially Samaritan women who were considered unclean. But Jesus talked to her. Knew her whole story, 5 husbands, living with a man who wasn't her husband. And instead of condemning her, he offered her living water. He revealed himself to her as the Messiah. She became the first evangelist, running back to tell her whole town about Jesus. I sat in the darkness of my room, my sisters sleeping peacefully beside me, and I felt something crack open inside my chest. Something I thought had died. Hope. This Jesus, he saw women, spoke to women, valued women, defended women, forgave women, used women to spread his message. In my world, women couldn't testify in court. Our word was worth half a man's. We couldn't travel without permission. We couldn't inherit equally. We couldn't lead prayers. We couldn't make decisions about our own bodies or lives. But Jesus treated women like humans. I searched for more. Women in Christianity. Jesus and women. What does the Bible say about women's worth? Galatians 3 verse 28 appeared on my screen. There is neither Jew nor Gentile, neither slave nor free, nor is there male and female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. Neither male and female. We are all one. I pressed my hand over my mouth to keep from sobbing and waking my sisters. This was everything I'd been taught was impossible. Everything I'd been told was Western corruption, feminist lies, satanic deception. But what if it wasn't? What if this was truth, and everything I'd been raised to believe was the lie? I kept reading. Hours passed. My eyes burned, but I couldn't stop. Genesis 1 verse 27. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them. In God's image. Both male and female. Equal. From the beginning. Psalm 139 verses 13 to 14. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Fearfully and wonderfully made.
Me.
Amina. The girl told she was worth $5,000 and a business deal. The girl told she was shame waiting to happen. The girl told she was less than, secondary, created for service. Fearfully and wonderfully made. The screen swam with tears. My whole body shook, because if this was true, if God actually saw me as valuable, as worthy, as made in his image, then everything else was a lie. Every insult, every restriction, every justification for my oppression, every voice telling me I was property.
Lies.
All of it. I found a video, a testimony, a woman named Fatima, a former Muslim like me, telling her story, how she'd found Jesus, how he'd freed her from forced marriage, abuse, oppression. I watched with the volume barely audible, my ear pressed to the speaker, terrified someone would hear. She said, Jesus didn't come to give us religion. He came to give us relationship. He doesn't want your perfect performance. He wants your broken heart. He doesn't want your fear. He wants your trust. He's not looking for slaves. He's looking for daughters. Daughters. I'd never been anyone's beloved daughter. I was my father's burden, my husband-to-be's acquisition. All a slave if I was anything at all. But this Jesus, he wanted daughters? I searched. How to become a Christian? How to accept Jesus? What is salvation? The answers were startlingly simple. Believe that Jesus is the Son of God. Believe he died for your sins. Believe he rose from the dead. Accept his gift of grace. Invite him into your heart. No rituals. No perfect Arabic. No endless rules. Just believe.
Trust.
Receive. It felt too easy. Too good. My whole life had been about earning worth through performance. Pray perfectly, dress modestly, obey completely, be silent, be small, be nothing. And maybe if you did everything right, Allah might show mercy. But Jesus said, come as you are. Broken. Desperate. Empty. I'll fill you. I'll free you. I'll make you whole. Every part of me screamed that this was haram. That I was betraying my family, my culture, my religion. That I'd go to hell. That I was being deceived by Satan. But another part, a quiet, small, desperate part, whispered, what if this is the first true thing you've ever heard? I looked at the clock. 3:47 a.m. 2 days until my wedding. 48 hours until I became the property of a man 3 times my age. I had nothing to lose. I closed my eyes. I didn't know how to pray to this Jesus. I didn't know the right words. So I just talked. Jesus, I whispered into the darkness. I don't know if you're real. I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know if I'm making the biggest mistake of my life. But if you are who they say you are, if you really love women, if you really see me, if you really can set people free, then I need you. I'm dying. Inside, I'm already dead. In 2 days, whatever's left of me will be gone forever. So if you're there, if you care, please. Show me.
Help me.
Save me. I can't save myself. Nothing dramatic happened. No vision. No voice. No lightning bolt. Just silence. But it was a different kind of silence than Allah's emptiness. This silence felt full. Waiting.
Alive.
I opened my eyes. The room looked the same. My sisters still slept. The bars were still on the windows. But something inside me had shifted. Like a seed planted in dry ground, invisible but present, waiting to grow. I turned off the phone. Hit it again. Lay down on my thin mattress. And for the first time in 6 weeks, I fell asleep without crying. The next night, just 1 day before my wedding, I couldn't sleep. My wedding dress hung on the back of my door like a ghost, white and suffocating. The henna on my hands had darkened to a deep reddish brown. Tomorrow, they'd paint my face, style my hair, dress me in that 15-pound prison, and hand me over to Sheikh Hassan. Tomorrow, I'd stop being a girl and become property. I lay there staring at the ceiling, my sisters breathing softly beside me. The house was silent. Outside, dogs barked in the distance. The call to prayer would come in a few hours. Dawn was approaching, the dawn of my last day of childhood. I thought about the Bible verses I'd read, about Jesus, about freedom, about worth. And I thought, what's the point? Even if it's all true, even if Jesus is real and loves me and sees me as valuable, I'm still trapped. Still getting married tomorrow. Still becoming the third wife of an old man. Truth doesn't change circumstances. Hope doesn't unlock doors. I felt stupid for believing, even for a moment, that anything could save me. Jesus, I whispered bitterly into the darkness, if you're real, you're too late. Tomorrow it's over. So where are you? Where's this freedom everyone talks about? Where's this love? My voice cracked. Tears slid down my temples into my hair. I wanted to believe you were different, that you saw me, that you cared. But you're just like Allah, silent,
Distant.
useless. I'm alone. I've always been alone. I closed my eyes, ready to give up completely, ready to accept that this was it. That hope was a lie and survival was the only option. And then, the room changed. I don't know how to explain it. The air shifted, grew heavier, warmer, like someone had walked in. But no one had. The door hadn't opened. My sisters were still asleep. Yet I knew, I wasn't alone anymore. My eyes flew open. And he was there, standing at the foot of my mattress.
A man.
But not a man. Light seemed to come from him, soft and golden, not harsh, not blinding, just present, like he was made of dawn itself. He wore simple clothes, a robe, nothing fancy. But his face. Oh, his face. I'd never seen such kindness, such strength, such love. His eyes met mine, and I forgot how to breathe. Every instinct screamed that I should be terrified. A strange man in my room while I slept. This was every nightmare my culture had taught me to fear. I should scream.
Hide. Run.
But I couldn't move. Because those eyes, they weren't looking at me. They were looking into me. Seeing everything. Every secret. Every shame. Every broken piece. Every dark thought. Every desperate prayer. And instead of disgust or judgment, I saw tears. He was crying.
For me.
Amina. He said my name, and his voice shattered something inside my chest. It was gentle but strong. Tender but certain. Like he'd spoken my name 1,000 times before, like he'd been calling me my whole life and I'd finally turned around. I tried to speak. My mouth opened but nothing came out. My whole body trembled. He moved closer, slowly, like he didn't want to frighten me. Then he did something that broke me completely. He knelt. This man, this being of light and power and authority, knelt on the floor beside my mattress. At my level. Below my level. Looking up at me with such tenderness, I thought my heart would explode. Do you know who I am? He asked softly. I nodded. Somehow I knew. I'd never seen him before, but I knew. Jesus, I whispered. He smiled. And that smile felt like every good thing I'd ever imagined, like sunshine after storm, like cold water in desert heat, like a mother's embrace I'd never truly had. Yes, he said. I've been waiting for you to call my name. But I'm Muslim. I'm not supposed to. The words tumbled out, confused, afraid. This is haram. I'm betraying everything. I'm going to hell. My family, Amina. He said my name again, and it silenced all the noise. Look at me. I couldn't. I was too ashamed. Too dirty. Too broken. Please, he said. Look at me. Something in his voice, not commanding, but inviting, made me lift my eyes. He was still crying. Tears ran down his cheeks freely. Why are you crying? I whispered. Because I see what they've done to you. His voice cracked with emotion. I see what they've stolen from you. Your childhood.
Your joy.
Your voice. Your freedom. I see how they've used my father's name to crush you. How they've twisted truth into chains. And it breaks my heart. But Allah. The God they taught you is not my father, he said gently but firmly. My father doesn't sell his daughters. He doesn't trade them like property. He doesn't silence them or shame them or shrink them into shadows.
What they've taught you about God is a lie.
And I came to show you the truth. I started sobbing then, full, body-shaking sobs. Because his words were water on a wound I didn't know I had permission to acknowledge. I'm getting married tomorrow, I choked out. To a man I don't know. A man who's older than my father. And there's nothing I can do. Even if you're real, even if you love me, I'm still trapped. What's the point of hope if nothing changes? Jesus reached out slowly, giving me time to pull away. But I didn't. I couldn't. His hand cupped my face, and his touch was the gentlest thing I'd ever felt. Amina, listen to me very carefully. His eyes held mine. You are not what they've told you. You are not property. You are not honor. You are not shame. You are not a commodity or a burden or a curse. Then what am I? I whispered desperately. You are my daughter. Those 4 words destroyed me. I'd never been anyone's beloved daughter. I was my father's responsibility, my mother's burden, my brother's lesser sibling, Sheikh Hassan's future acquisition. But daughter, treasured, cherished, wanted never. You are my beloved daughter, Jesus continued, and his voice was thick with emotion. Fearfully and wonderfully made. Created in my Father's image. Precious. Valued. Worth dying for. And I did die for you, Amina. For you. Not because you earned it. Not because you're perfect. But because you are mine. And I love you with an everlasting love. But I'm not good enough, I sobbed. I'm not pure. I'm angry. I'm bitter. I've stopped praying. I've doubted. Good. He smiled through his tears. I don't want your performance. I don't want your religious perfection. I want your heart. Bring me your anger. Bring me your bitterness. Bring me your doubts. Bring me your broken, shattered, bleeding heart. I don't need you cleaned up. I need you honest. They're going to kill me if I follow you, I whispered. My father. My brothers. Sheikh Hassan. If they find out. I know. His expression grew serious. Following me may cost you everything. Your family. Your safety. Your life as you know it. I won't lie to you, Amina. The road ahead is hard. But here's what I promise. You will never walk it alone. Where you go, I go. What you face, I face with you. And nothing can separate you from my love. He moved his hand from my face to my chest, right over my heart. Right now, you are a slave, he said. Bound by fear, tradition, religion, oppression. Tomorrow, they'll bind you further, in marriage and abuse, in a life of slow death. But Amina, his eyes blazed with fierce love, I came to break every chain, every lie, every prison. I came to set captives free. And if you let me, if you choose me, I will give you freedom they can never touch. Not freedom of circumstances, but freedom of soul, freedom of identity, freedom of knowing who you are and whose you are, no matter what they do to your body. Is that enough? I asked through tears. Is freedom of soul enough when my body will still be trapped? Still violated? Still. Listen to me. He leaned closer, his forehead nearly touching mine. They can take your childhood. They can take your body. They can take your name and your future, and even your life. But they cannot take what I give you. They cannot touch your soul. They cannot steal your identity. They cannot separate you from my love. You will be mine, Amina. Forever mine. A daughter of the king. And that is an identity no human can erase. I looked into his eyes that saw every ugly, broken part of me and loved me anyway, and I knew this was the choice. Not between safety and danger. Not between comfort and suffering. But between slavery and freedom. Between death and life. Between lies and truth. I don't know how to follow you, I whispered. I don't know the prayers or the rules or... There's only one rule, he said, smiling. Love me. Let me love you. Everything else flows from that. No performance. No earning. No rituals to get right. Just relationship. Just trust. Just surrender to love instead of fear. They'll say I'm going to hell. You've been living in hell, Amina. I came to bring you to heaven, not just when you die, but now.
Today.
In your heart. Will you stop the wedding? I asked desperately. Will you rescue me? Change my father's heart? Make Sheikh Hassan refuse me? Will you? I can't tell you how the story unfolds, he said gently. But I can tell you how it ends. In victory. In freedom.
In joy.
The path between here and there, it will be hard. You'll walk through fire. But you won't burn, because I'll be in the fire with you. And when you come out the other side, you'll be refined, not destroyed. Stronger, not broken. Free, not enslaved. He stood then, extending his hand to me. Amina, daughter of the king, will you follow me? Will you trust me? Will you let me be your Lord, your Savior, your Father, your friend? I looked at his hand.
Scarred.
He'd suffered too. He understood pain. He'd chosen it for me. I thought about tomorrow, the wedding, the terror, the unknown. And I thought about tonight, this moment, this choice, this man who'd knelt before me, cried for me, called me daughter. I placed my trembling hand in his scarred one. Yes, I whispered. I'm yours. Save me, please. He pulled me to my feet, into his arms, and held me. Really held me. Not the way my mother had, dutiful, exhausted, resigned. Not the way my culture taught, distant, formal, controlled. But the way a father holds a daughter he'd thought was lost and found again. I sobbed into his chest. Years of pain, fear, anger, loneliness, desperation, it all poured out. And he just held me, stroked my hair, whispered, my daughter, my beloved, you're safe now. You're mine. You're free. No matter what happens tomorrow or the next day or the next, you are free. Because I have broken the chains that matter most. The chains around your soul. I don't know how long we stood there. Time felt suspended. But eventually, he pulled back slightly, his hands on my shoulders, his eyes locked on mine. Remember this moment, he said. When fear comes, and it will come, remember this. When doubt comes, remember this. When they tell you you're worthless, remember this. When hell breaks loose, remember. You are mine. You are a daughter of God. You are free. And nothing can change that truth. I'm scared, I admitted. I know. But perfect love casts out fear. And Amina, I love you perfectly. He stepped back. The light around him grew brighter. I'm going now. But I'm not leaving. I'm always with you. In you. For you. Call my name, and I'm there. Always. Wait. I reached for him, desperate. Don't go. Please. You need to walk in faith now, he said gently. Trust me even when you can't see me. That's where freedom lives. Not in visible rescue, but in invisible trust. And then he was gone. The light faded. The room returned to normal. My sisters still slept. The wedding dress still hung on the door. But I was different. Completely, utterly, irreversibly different. I looked at my henna-covered hands. Tomorrow, they'd put me in that dress. Tomorrow, they'd marry me to Sheikh Hassan. Tomorrow, my nightmare would begin. But tonight, right now, I was free. Free in my soul. Free in my identity. Free in knowing whose I was. I was a daughter of the king. And nothing, not my father, not Sheikh Hassan, not tradition, not religion, not even death, could take that away. I knelt beside my mattress, tears streaming down my face, and I prayed. Not to Allah. To Jesus. My Savior. My Lord. My Father. I don't know what happens next, I whispered. But I trust you. I'm yours. Whatever comes, I'm yours. Peace flooded my soul. Not the absence of fear, but the presence of love stronger than fear. I climbed back into bed. And for the first time in 6 weeks, I smiled. Tomorrow would come. The wedding would happen. The suffering was real. But so was he.
And he was enough.
I woke to my mother shaking my shoulder. Sunlight streamed through the barred window. My wedding day had arrived. Get up, Amina. We have much to do. Her voice was flat, resigned. This was just another day of duty for her. Another daughter being processed through the system. My sisters were already awake, chattering excitedly about the wedding. They didn't understand. They were too young. To them, this was a party, a celebration. They didn't yet know they were next. I sat up slowly. My whole body felt heavy, like I was moving through water. The henna on my hands had darkened to a deep burgundy, symbols of joy that felt like marks of ownership. But something was different. Inside me, underneath the fear and dread, there was something solid, unshakable, a foundation that hadn't been there yesterday. Jesus. I touched my chest over my heart, remembering his hand there. You are mine. You are free. The memory felt more real than the room around me. Amina! My mother's sharp voice cut through my thoughts. Stop daydreaming. The hairdresser arrives in an hour. Go bathe. Now. I stood, my legs unsteady. My youngest sister, Layla, grabbed my hand. She was 7 years old, gap-toothed and innocent. You're going to be so beautiful, she said, smiling up at me. Like a princess. My throat tightened. Layla, listen to me. I knelt down, eye level with her. My mother was in the other room. Couldn't hear. When you're older, if they try to make you marry someone you don't want to marry, you run. You hear me? You run, and you don't look back. Her smile faded, confused. But marriage is good. Mama says. Mama is wrong. The words came out harder than I intended. Promise me, Layla. Promise you'll remember what I said. Okay, she whispered, frightened now. I hugged her tight, breathing in her little girl's smell, soap and sunshine and innocence. I love you. Never forget you're worth more than what they'll tell you. You're worth everything. I stood and walked to the bathroom before she could see me cry. The next 4 hours were a blur of hands, pulling, tugging, painting, styling. Women everywhere. Aunts, cousins, neighbors. All of them chattering, laughing, celebrating. They waxed my eyebrows until my eyes watered, lined them with thick black kohl, painted my lips dark red, contoured my face with makeup until I looked years older, sprayed my hair with enough product to make it stiff and unnatural, clipped in extensions, making it longer, fuller, pinned on a jeweled headpiece that pulled at my scalp. I sat there like a doll being assembled.
Silent. Numb.
Don't cry, one aunt warned. You'll ruin the makeup. Don't cry. Don't feel. Don't be human. Just be pretty. Be ornamental. Be what they need you to be. Finally, they brought the dress. That massive, suffocating, 15-pound dress. They laced me into the corset underneath, pulling it so tight I couldn't breathe deeply. Then the dress itself, layers of fabric, gold embroidery, pearls, sequins. It took 3 women to get it on me. I caught my reflection in the mirror and didn't recognize myself. The girl staring back looked like a woman. A bride. Someone ready for marriage. But inside I was still 13. Still a child. Still screaming. Beautiful, my mother said. But her eyes were dead. She wasn't seeing me. She was seeing herself 28 years ago, in a different dress, same prison. It's time, someone announced. The wedding was at our house, traditional, with men and women separated. I could hear music starting in the men's section. Drums. Celebration. My father's voice, loud and jovial, greeting guests. They led me to a decorated chair, a throne, essentially, where I'd sit on display for hours while women came to congratulate me, take photos, eat sweets. The first hour passed in a fog. Women I didn't know kissed my cheeks, told me how lucky I was, how blessed. I smiled, nodded, said nothing. Then Sheikh Hassan's wives arrived. Jamila and Noor. They stood before me, studying me like I was a painting they had to critique. Jamila leaned close. Enjoy today, she whispered. It's the last day anyone pretends to care about your happiness. Noor smiled coldly. Don't expect friendship from us. Your competition. Another mouth to feed. Another body to satisfy him. We're not sisters. We're rivals. They walked away, leaving me shaking. 2 more hours. More photos. More congratulations. More performance. Then my father appeared in the doorway between the men's and women's sections. It's time for the signing, he announced. The signing. The contract. The moment it all became legal and binding. My stomach dropped. This was it. No more delays. No more hope. They led me through a corridor to a small room where the official ceremony would happen. Sheikh Hassan was there, sitting at a table with the imam and my father. The marriage contract lay between them. Sheikh Hassan looked at me with those cold, predatory eyes. He smiled, showing his tobacco-stained teeth. Come, wife, he said. Let's make this official. Wife. He called me wife before I'd even signed. Before I'd consented. Because my consent didn't matter. The men had already decided. I stood frozen in the doorway. The dress weighed me down. The corset crushed my ribs. The room spun. Amina, my father said sharply. Sit. I didn't move. Something was rising inside me. Something that had been building since last night. Since Jesus held me. Since he called me daughter. Since he told me I was free. Amina. My father stood, angry now. Don't embarrass me. Sit down. No. The word came out of my mouth before I consciously decided to say it. Small. Quiet. But unmistakable. The room went silent. What did you say? My father's voice was dangerously low. I lifted my eyes. Looked at him directly for the first time in my life. I said no. Sheikh Hassan's face darkened. Control your daughter, Khalil. This is unacceptable. My father moved toward me, grabbed my arm hard enough to bruise. You will sit down. You will sign this contract. You will not shame this family. I won't do it. My voice was shaking but stronger now. I won't marry him. I don't want this. I never wanted this. Your wants are irrelevant. My father's hand raised. He'd never hit me before. But I saw it in his eyes. He was going to. Right here. Right now. I didn't flinch. Go ahead, I said quietly. Hit me. Force me. Drag me to that table. But you can't make me willing. You can't make me consent. You can only make me a victim. Something flickered in his eyes. Uncertainty? Fear? This wasn't the obedient daughter he knew. This was someone new. Someone he couldn't control with just a look anymore. Khalil, Sheikh Hassan said coldly, I don't accept damaged goods. If your daughter is defiant, the contract is void. I'll expect a full refund of the dowry, plus compensation for this humiliation. Money. Of course. That's what shook my father. Not my pain. Not my plea. But the threat of financial loss and public shame. She's not defiant, my father said quickly, desperately. She's just nervous. Wedding day jitters. Give us a moment. He dragged me out of the room, into the empty corridor, slammed me against the wall. His face was inches from mine, contorted with rage. What are you doing? He hissed. Do you have any idea what you're destroying? The business deal. The family honor. Our reputation. Everything I've built. I don't care. The words came out strong. Clear. I don't care about your business or your honor or your reputation. I care about my life. And I'm not giving it to him. You don't have a choice. Yes, I do. Jesus gave me a choice. He told me I'm worth more than this. That I'm not property. I'm his daughter. And I choose him. My father went very still. His face paled. What did you say? Too late, I realized what I'd done. I'd said his name. Out loud. In front of my Muslim father. You've become Christian? His voice was barely a whisper. Horror. Complete horror. Yes, I said. And even though fear flooded through me, there was also relief. Freedom. Finally speaking the truth. Yes. I follow Jesus now. And he says I'm free. My father released me like I'd burned him. Stepped back. His face went through a series of expressions: shock, disgust, rage, calculation. Do you know what you've done? He said slowly. You haven't just refused marriage. You've committed apostasy. That's death, Amina.
Death.
By Islamic law, you must be killed. I know. I was shaking, but I stood tall. And I don't care. I'd rather die as Jesus' daughter than live as anyone's slave. You think I won't do it? His voice rose. You think I won't kill my own daughter to preserve family honor? I think you will, I said, tears streaming down my face now, ruining the makeup, but I didn't care. I think you love honor more than you ever loved me. But I'm not afraid anymore. Because even if you kill my body, you can't touch my soul. Jesus already saved that. I'm already free. For a long moment, we stared at each other. This man who'd given me life, but never love. This man who'd provided for me, but never protected me. This man who was my father in name only. Ahmed. Omar, he shouted. My brothers appeared within seconds, alarmed by his tone. Restrain her, my father commanded. Lock her in her room. And call the family council. We have an apostate to deal with. Ahmed's eyes widened. Apostate? Amina, what did you? I followed Jesus now, I said clearly, looking at both my brothers. And I won't marry Sheikh Hassan. I won't marry anyone. I belong to Jesus. Omar's face hardened immediately. He'd always been the most religious, the most zealous. Then you know the penalty. Yes. Ahmed hesitated. He was only 2 years older than me. We'd played together as children. Once long ago, he'd been kind. Ahmed, please, I whispered. Remember when we were little? When you used to share your sweets with me? When you told me stories? That Amina, that little girl, she's still here. Don't kill her. Please. His jaw clenched. Emotion flashed across his face. But then he looked at our father. At Omar. At the weight of expectation and tradition and honor. And his eyes went cold. That little girl died the moment she became kafir, he said. Take her to her room. They grabbed my arms, one on each side, and dragged me down the corridor. I didn't fight. The heavy dress made movement almost impossible anyway. They threw me into my room. The room where I'd slept my whole life. The room where Jesus had appeared to me last night. The council meets in 1 hour, Omar said from the doorway. Say your prayers, apostate. To whatever God you think will save you.
The door slammed.
I heard the lock click. Then silence. I stood there in my wedding dress, makeup running down my face alone. And then I did exactly what Omar suggested. I prayed. I fell to my knees, the dress pooling around me like a collapsed parachute, pressed my face to the floor, and I talked to Jesus. I did what you showed me, I whispered through tears. I told the truth. I chose you. And now they're going to kill me. I'm scared. I'm so scared. But I meant what I said. I'd rather die free than live enslaved. So, if this is it, if this is how my story ends, then I trust you. I'm yours. In life or death, I'm yours. I stayed there, crying, praying, shaking. And then I felt it again. That presence. That warmth. That peace that made no logical sense. He was there. Jesus. I couldn't see him this time, but I felt him. Stronger than before. A voice, not audible, but clear as thunder in my spirit, spoke. Well done, my daughter. Well done. You chose truth over comfort. Love over fear. Life over survival. I am so proud of you. And, Amina, this is not the end. This is the beginning. Trust me. What comes next will be hard, but I am with you. Every step, every breath, every moment. You are not alone. You will never be alone. The fear didn't disappear, but beneath it, supporting it stronger than it, was peace. I stood up, wiped my face, looked at myself in the small mirror on my wall. The makeup was ruined. The dress was wrinkled. The perfect bride they'd created was destroyed. But the girl underneath, Amina, daughter of the king, she was standing. Strong.
Free.
No matter what happened next, they couldn't take that away. I heard voices outside. Lots of them. Angry.
Shouting.
The family council was gathering. I walked to the window. The bars were still there. Still locked. No physical escape. But I smiled anyway, because Jesus was right. I was already free. And whatever happened next, I would face it as his daughter. Nothing more. Nothing less. Nothing else mattered. The shouting grew louder. I could distinguish voices now, my father's deep and authoritative, my uncle's harsh and condemning, my grandmother's shrill and cutting. The entire family had gathered. An emergency council. To decide my fate. To decide how to kill me. I sat on my mattress, still wearing the wedding dress, and waited. My heart pounded, but underneath the fear was that strange, solid peace. Jesus was with me. I wasn't alone. The door burst open. My father stood there with Ahmed, Omar, and my uncle Rashid, my father's older brother, a man known for his religious extremism and cruelty. Stand up, my father commanded. I stood. The dress made me wobble, but I steadied myself. Uncle Rashid stepped forward, his face twisted with disgust. Is it true? Have you abandoned Islam for the Christian corruption? I lifted my chin. I followed Jesus Christ. He is my Lord and Savior. The slap came so fast I didn't see it. Uncle Rashid's hand cracked across my face, splitting my lip. Blood filled my mouth, metallic, warm. Filthy apostate, he screamed. You've shamed this entire family. Your father should have drowned you at birth. Rashid, please, my father started. No. Uncle Rashid turned on him. This is your fault, Khalil.
You were too soft.
Too lenient. You let her go to school, let her have ideas, let her think she mattered. And this is the result. An apostate daughter who rejects Allah, rejects her family, rejects her duty. He turned back to me. The law is clear. The penalty for apostasy is death. You will be killed to preserve family honor and obey Islamic law. I understand, I said quietly. My lip throbbed. Blood dripped onto the white dress, staining it red. I'm ready. My response seemed to catch them off guard. They'd expected begging,
Pleading. Recanting.
You're ready? Omar said incredulously. You want to die? No, I said. I want to live, but not the life you're offering. Not as property. Not as a slave. So if the choice is between dying free or living enslaved, I choose freedom. I choose Jesus. Even if it costs me everything. Ahmed's face crumpled for just a second. Amina, please. Just say the Shahida. Just say you were confused, that you renounced Christianity, that you returned to Islam. We can pretend this never happened. You can still marry Sheikh Hassan. You can still live in a cage? I looked at my brother, my childhood playmate, the boy who'd once been kind. Ahmed, would you want that? Would you want to spend your life married to someone you don't love, serving someone who sees you as property, dying slowly inside while everyone pretends you're blessed? His jaw clenched. He looked away. She's been possessed, Uncle Rashid declared. Demons have corrupted her mind. We must act quickly before the corruption spreads. How? My father asked. His voice sounded tired. Old. How do we do this? The traditional way, Uncle Rashid said coldly. Honor killing.
Quick.
Efficient. No public scandal. We'll say she died in an accident. Tragic. The community will sympathize. Sheikh Hassan will be compensated. The family honor remains intact. They were discussing my murder like it was a business transaction.
Calmly.
Rationally.
Problem-solving.
I'll do it, Omar said. His voice was hard.
Certain.
She's my sister. It's my duty.
Sister.
He called me sister while volunteering to kill me. Good, Uncle Rashid said. Take her to the courtyard. Make it quick. Khalil, you should be present. As head of the family. My father nodded slowly. He still wouldn't look at me. They grabbed my arms again, Ahmed and Omar, and dragged me from the room. Down the corridor. Through the house where I'd grown up. Past the kitchen where my mother taught me to make bread. Past the living room where I'd played as a child. Past the bathroom where Maria had left me the note that changed everything. Maria. Where was she? Had they sent her away? Would she even know what happened to me? They pushed me into the courtyard, the small, enclosed space with high walls and a single tree. The place where I'd played as a little girl. Where I'd begged Allah to let me die just days ago, now my prayer was being answered. Just not the way I'd imagined. The afternoon sun beat down mercilessly. I could hear wedding music still playing in the men's section. Guests laughing. Life continuing. No one knew that in this courtyard, a girl was about to be murdered. Uncle Rashid followed us out, carrying something wrapped in cloth. He unwrapped it slowly, ceremonially. A knife. Long curved. Sharp enough to catch the sunlight and reflect it like fire. He handed it to Omar. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate, we cleanse this family of shame. Most merciful. Most compassionate. The words felt like obscenity. Omar took the knife. His hand shook slightly, but his face was resolute. He believed, truly believed, he was doing the right thing. That killing me was an act of faith. Kneel, he commanded. I didn't move. Amina, kneel.
No.
My voice was steady. If you're going to kill me, you'll do it while I'm standing. While I'm looking you in the eye. While I'm free. Fury flashed across his face. He moved toward me, raising the knife. This was it. This was how I died. 13 years old. In a wedding dress. In my family's courtyard. Killed by my own brother. But I wasn't afraid. Because Jesus was there. I felt him standing behind me, his hands on my shoulders, his presence surrounding me like armor. Jesus, I whispered, closing my eyes. I'm coming home.
Thank you for loving me.
Thank you for freeing me. Thank you. Stop. The voice was female.
Loud.
Desperate. My eyes flew open. Maria stood in the courtyard doorway, her phone held high, recording everything. I've filmed everything, she said in shaking but determined voice. The whole confession. The death sentence. All of it. And I've already sent it to human rights organizations. Police. News outlets. If you kill her now, the whole world will know. You won't be able to hide this as an accident. You'll be exposed. Arrested. Prosecuted. Uncle Rashid went pale. You dare. I dare, Maria said. Her voice grew stronger. Because that girl did nothing wrong except choose freedom. And I won't stand by and watch you murder her for it. Delete it, my father demanded. Delete it now or what? Maria challenged. You'll kill me too? That's 2 murders. 2 bodies. 2 witnesses to eliminate. How far will you go to protect your precious honor? The chaos erupted. My father lunged for Maria's phone. She dodged, running back into the house. He chased her. Uncle Rashid shouted orders. Ahmed stood frozen, uncertain. And in the confusion, Omar lowered the knife slightly, his conviction shaken. I saw my chance. The courtyard wall was 10 feet high. Too high to climb normally. But there was the tree, the ancient olive tree I'd climbed as a child. I hiked up the massive wedding dress, kicked off the suffocating heels, and ran for the tree. Stop her, someone shouted. I grabbed the lowest branch. The dress fought me, tangling around my legs, but adrenaline gave me strength I didn't know I had. I pulled myself up, branch by branch. Higher. The fabric ripped. Pearls scattered. The dress was being destroyed.
Good.
Let it be destroyed. It was never mine anyway. I reached the top of the wall. Looked down. The street on the other side was empty. Everyone was at the wedding. 10 feet down. Onto concrete. In what remained of a wedding dress. Behind me, I heard Omar climbing the tree. Amina, stop. You'll hurt yourself. I looked back at him. My brother. My would-be killer. I love you, I said. But I won't die for your honor. I'll live for his love. And I jumped. The impact knocked the breath from my lungs. Pain shot through my ankle. But nothing broke. Nothing that mattered. I scrambled to my feet and ran. Barefoot. Bleeding. Limping. In a tattered, destroyed wedding dress. I ran like my life depended on it. Because it did. Behind me, I heard shouting. The gate opening. They were coming. But I knew these streets. I'd played here as a child before the restrictions tightened. I knew shortcuts. Narrow alleys. Hiding places. I ducked into a side street, then another, then another. My lungs burned. My ankle screamed. But I didn't stop. Where was I going? I had no plan. No destination. No phone, no money, no shoes, no. The church. There was a church. 2 kilometers away, in the Christian neighborhood. I'd passed it on the way to the market. A small building with a simple cross. That was sanctuary. That was safety. If I could just get there. I ran harder, ignoring the pain, ignoring the stares from people on the street who saw a girl in a destroyed wedding dress running like death was chasing her. Because it was. My brother's voices echoed behind me. They were close. Too close. Jesus, please, I gasped. Please help me. I can't make it. I'm too slow. They're too fast. Please. I turned a corner and slammed directly into someone. A woman. Western-looking. Maybe 40. She caught me before I fell. Please, I sobbed. Please help me. They're trying to kill me. I need. She took one look at my face, the terror, the blood, the desperation, and made a split-second decision. Come. She pulled me into a narrow doorway. A shop. She spoke rapid Arabic to the shopkeeper, who immediately understood. He pointed to a back room. The woman pulled me through the shop into a storage room, then out a back exit into an alley. A car was parked there.
Small.
Nondescript. Get in.
Now.
I didn't hesitate. I threw myself into the back seat. She jumped in the driver's seat, started the engine, and pulled out just as my brothers appeared at the end of the alley. They saw the car, started running toward it, but she was faster. We sped away, tires screeching, leaving them behind. I collapsed in the back seat, sobbing, shaking, unable to believe what had just happened. We drove in silence for several minutes. Finally, the woman spoke. I'm Rebecca, she said. Her accent was American. I run a safe house for women escaping violence. That's where we're going. You'll be safe there. How? How did you know? I didn't. I was walking back to my car from a meeting. You ran into me. But I've worked with enough desperate women to recognize the look. And the dress told me the rest of the story. She glanced at me in the rear-view mirror. Her eyes were kind, understanding. What's your name? Amina. Amina, you're safe now. They can't reach you where we're going. Do you understand? You're safe.
Safe.
The word felt foreign. Impossible. But as we drove farther from my neighborhood, farther from my family, farther from the courtyard where I'd almost died, I started to believe it. I'd escaped. Jesus had saved me. Through Maria. Through Rebecca. Through a series of impossible coincidences that were really his fingerprints. Thank you, I whispered. Thank Jesus, Rebecca said softly. I was supposed to leave an hour ago. My meeting ran late. I took a different route than usual. If I'd left on time, gone the normal way, I wouldn't have been there. That wasn't coincidence. That was God. Fresh tears poured down my face.
Not fear this time.
Gratitude. Overwhelming, breathtaking gratitude. He really did save me, I whispered. He always does, Rebecca said. It doesn't always look like we expect. And it doesn't mean the road ahead is easy. But yes, Amina.
He saved you.
Because you're his daughter. And he protects his own. We drove for another 30 minutes, arriving finally at a nondescript house on the outskirts of the city. High walls. Security cameras. Reinforced doors. A fortress disguised as a home. Inside, I met 6 other women. All ages. All backgrounds. All with the same haunted look in their eyes. All survivors. All sisters now. Rebecca gave me clean clothes, food, medical attention for my split lip and swollen ankle. A room. A bed.
Safety.
That night, lying in a real bed for the first time as a free woman, I thought about everything I'd lost. My family. My mother, who'd never said goodbye. My sisters, who I might never see again. My childhood home. My entire identity as I'd known it. And my children. The children I might have had if I'd married Shikasan. The life I'd never live. The grief was crushing. Physical. a weight on my chest that made it hard to breathe. But underneath the grief was something else. Freedom. I was alive. I was safe. I was free. And I was his. I knelt beside the bed and prayed through tears. Jesus, thank you.
Thank you for saving me, for seeing me,
For calling me daughter when no one else would. I've lost everything. My family is gone. My name is dishonored. I'm alone in the world. But I'm not really alone, am I? Because you're here.
You're with me.
You kept your promise. You walked through the fire with me. And I'm still standing. I'm free.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. The room was silent. But that presence, that peace, wrapped around me like a blanket. I was beginning my new life. Not the life I'd imagined. Not comfortable or easy or painless. But mine. Finally, truly mine. And his. Forever his. That was 3 years ago. I'm 16 now. Still young. Still healing. Still discovering who Amina, daughter of the king, really is. Let me tell you about my new life. Not because it's perfect. Not because following Jesus solved all my problems with a snap of his fingers. But because I want you to know the truth. The real, raw, complicated truth about what freedom actually looks like. I live in Rebecca's safe house still. It's a community of 9 women now, sisters forged not by blood, but by survival. By Jesus. By the shared understanding that we've all walked through fire and somehow, impossibly, came out alive. There's Fatima, who escaped an honor killing after her father discovered she'd been raped. She has nightmares every night. But every morning, she wakes up and reads her Bible. Every morning, she chooses to keep breathing.
Keep trusting. Keep healing.
There's Nadia, who was married at 12 to a man who beat her daily for 7 years. She has scars all over her body. But she also has the most beautiful laugh I've ever heard, full and free and defiant. She told me once, "Every time I laugh, I'm telling the devil he didn't win. He tried to steal my joy. But Jesus gave it back." There's Yasmin, who was about to be killed by her brothers for refusing to marry her cousin. She got out the same week I did. We share a room. On the hard nights, when the grief feels too heavy, when we miss our mothers, when we wonder if we made the right choice, we hold each other and cry and pray and remind each other. We are not alone. This is my family now. These women. These survivors. These warriors. We're not what the world would call successful. We don't have Instagram perfect lives or happy endings tied up with bows.
We're traumatized. Displaced.
Cut off from everything we knew. But we have something our old lives never gave us. Freedom. Agency.
Choice. Voice.
And Jesus. Always Jesus.
My days are simple now.
I wake up early. Old habits from years of pre-dawn prayers. But now I pray to a God who answers. Who listens. Who calls me beloved. I help with cooking, cleaning, maintenance of the house. Rebecca runs the safe house on donations and grants, so we all contribute however we can. We're learning skills too: sewing, computer literacy, English, nursing. Building futures for ourselves. Creating possibilities we never had before. 3 times a week, a woman named Hannah comes to lead Bible study. She's Egyptian, a former Muslim like me, and she's been walking with Jesus for 15 years. She teaches us about him. Not religion, but relationship. Not rules, but grace. Not performance, but love. I've learned things about Jesus I never knew. Things that shatter everything Islam taught me about God. I learned that Jesus ate with sinners, prostitutes, tax collectors, outcasts. The religious leaders were furious. "Why does your teacher eat with such scum?" they asked his disciples. And Jesus said, "It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." In Islam, I was taught that Allah is disgusted by sinners. That we must cleanse ourselves before approaching him. That we must earn his mercy through perfect obedience. But Jesus runs toward sinners. He pursues the broken. He sits with the shamed. He touches the untouchable. He sits with me. I learned that when Jesus healed people, he often touched them. lepers, whom no one was allowed to touch, bleeding women who were considered unclean, dead bodies, which made you ritually impure. Jesus broke every purity law to reach people, because people mattered more than rules. Love mattered more than law. I learned that Jesus wept. At his friend's grave, he cried. When he looked at Jerusalem, the city that rejected him, he cried. He wasn't distant or unmoved or coldly perfect. He felt.
He grieved.
He understood pain. He understands why pain. And I learned over and over in 100 different ways that Jesus values women,
Sees women.
honors women, uses women. Mary Magdalene was the first witness of his resurrection. In a culture where women couldn't testify in court, Jesus chose a woman to be the first preacher of the gospel. He trusted her with the most important message in history. That still makes me cry every time I think about it, because in my old life, my testimony was worth half a man's. My word was legally inferior. My voice was silenced. But Jesus says, your voice matters. Your story matters. I trust you. Tell the world what you've seen. Of course, it's not all beautiful revelations and healing moments. There are hard days. Really hard days. There are nights I wake up screaming from nightmares. My brother holding the knife, my father's cold eyes, Sheikh Hassan's predatory smile. On those nights, Yasmin holds me and prays over me until I can breathe again. There are days I miss my mother so much it physically hurts. I wonder what she's doing.
If she thinks about me.
If she regrets not fighting for me. If she even knows I'm alive. I've tried to contact her once, through an intermediary. Rebecca helped me send a message, just a simple note. I'm alive. I'm safe. I love you. She never responded. That silence cut deeper than the knife Omar raised. Because it meant she'd chosen. Chosen my father over me. Chosen honor over her daughter. Chosen the system over love. I had to grieve that. I'm still grieving it. Some days, I'm angry at her. Furious. How could she? How could she stand by and watch them sell me? Watch them try to kill me? How could she choose silence? Other days, I understand. She's a prisoner too. Maybe even more trapped than I was, because she's been in that cage so long she doesn't remember what freedom feels like. Doesn't believe it exists. Hannah tells me it's okay to feel both. To be angry and to have compassion. To grieve what I lost and celebrate what I gained. That healing isn't linear. It's messy and complicated, and sometimes you take 3 steps forward and 5 steps back. But you keep walking. You keep choosing Jesus. You keep moving toward freedom, even when it's painful. I think about my sisters often. Especially Layla, my baby sister. She's 10 now. Is she still innocent? Or has the system started crushing her yet? Has she remembered what I told her?
Run.
Don't look back. Or has she forgotten? Has she been taught to forget me? To see me as the shame, the apostate, the one who brought dishonor? I pray for her every single day. For all my sisters. That somehow Jesus will reach them. Protect them. Show them they're worth more than what they've been told. There's a grief that lives in me now.
Permanent.
A Layla-shaped hole. A mother-shaped absence. A homeland I can never return to. Some days I wonder if it was worth it. If freedom is really worth this much pain. And then I remember the alternative. Remember the wedding dress. The old man's cold eyes. The life of slow death I would have lived. The girl I would have become. Dead inside, going through motions, teaching my own daughters to submit and shrink and disappear. And I know, even with all the pain, all the loss, all the grief, this is better. This is life. Painful, complicated, messy life. But life. Real.
Free. Mine.
Last month, something incredible happened. Maria found me. The housemaid who'd saved my life, who'd filmed my family's confession, who'd risked everything to protect me. She contacted Rebecca's organization. She'd been fired immediately after that day, of course. Thrown out. But she'd kept copies of the video. Evidence. Protection. She came to visit me. We sat in the garden, drinking tea, and she told me her story. She's from the Philippines. Came to work in the Middle East to support her 3 children back home. She's been a Christian her whole life, but quiet about it. Has to be, to survive. She'd been praying for me, she said, for months. Since the day she'd started working for my family and saw how I was treated. I knew what they were planning for you, she said, tears in her eyes. I knew it was wrong. So, I started leaving you notes. Verses. Little reminders that Jesus saw you. I didn't know if you'd read them. Didn't know if it would matter. But I had to try. It saved my life, I told her. That first note. John 8 verse 36. It planted a seed. It grew into freedom. We both cried. And then we prayed together. Thanked Jesus for using her, a poor housemaid, invisible to most people, to rescue me. To change eternity. That's what I'm learning. God uses the overlooked, the underestimated, the invisible ones. The women society ignores.
He used a housemaid to save me.
He used a Western woman who happened to be in the right place at the right time. He used a safe house full of broken women to show me family. He uses women. Over and over. He chooses us. Values us. Empowers us. Now, I want to speak directly to you. Yes, you. The woman watching this right now. Maybe you're Muslim, like I was. Maybe you're sitting in your room right now, trapped, terrified, counting down to a wedding you don't want or a life you can't escape. Maybe you've prayed to Allah 1,000 times and heard nothing but silence. Sister, I was you. I know your fear. I know the weight of tradition pressing down on you like concrete. I know what it's like to be told you're worth less than your brothers, that your body isn't yours, that your voice doesn't matter. I know what it's like to feel like there's no way out. But I'm here to tell you, Jesus sees you. Right now, right where you are, he sees you.
He knows your name.
He knows your story. And he's calling you daughter. Not property. Not honor symbol.
Not shame.
Daughter. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are created in God's image. You are worth dying for, and Jesus proved it by actually dying for you. The God who demands your silence is not the true God. The God who treats you as inferior is not the Father who created you. The religion that chains you is not the truth that sets you free. Jesus is truth. Jesus is freedom. Jesus is life. I won't lie to you. Following him may cost you everything. It cost me my family, my home, my identity as I knew it. The road is hard. The grief is real. But sister, it's worth it. God, it's worth it. Because freedom, real freedom, soul-deep freedom, is worth any price. And you don't have to do it alone. There are organizations, safe houses, people like Rebecca and Maria who dedicate their lives to helping women like us. You can escape. There is hope. Maybe you're not Muslim. Maybe you're in a different kind of prison. An abusive marriage. A controlling family. A religious system that uses God's name to crush you. Sister, Jesus came to set captives free. All captives. Your specific chains may look different than mine, but he has the keys to all of them. You are not too broken. Not too dirty. Not too far gone. Jesus specializes in the shattered. He runs toward the broken. He calls the outcast beloved. He's calling you. Maybe you're a mother watching this. Maybe you have daughters. Maybe you're in a system that demands you sacrifice your girls to tradition. Mama, I don't hate my mother. I understand she was trapped too. But I'm begging you, don't let fear silence your love. Don't let tradition steal your daughter's life. Don't let religious law trump your maternal instinct that screams, this is wrong.
Be brave.
Break the cycle. Save your daughters. Show them what courage looks like. Show them that their lives are worth fighting for. You have more power than you think. And Jesus will give you strength you don't have. I promise you, he will. And maybe you're someone who's never experienced this kind of oppression. Maybe you're Western, free, can't imagine what we've been through. Sister, don't waste your freedom. Use your voice for those who've been silenced. Use your resources to support safe houses and rescue organizations. Use your privilege to shine light on the darkness we've escaped. Pray for us. Really pray. We need it. Every single day, we need it. And when you see a woman in hijab, a foreign domestic worker, a refugee, a survivor, see her. Really see her. See her as Jesus does. As a daughter. As valuable. As human. You might be the Maria in someone's story. The Rebecca. The difference between death and life. I'm going to pray now. And if you need to, you can pray with me. It doesn't matter where you are or what you're wearing or whether you know the right words.
Just talk to him.
He's listening. Jesus, I'm talking to you now. Maybe for the first time. Maybe I don't even know if you're real. But I'm desperate. I'm trapped. I'm dying inside. I've been told my whole life that I'm less than, that I'm property, that I don't matter. But I want to believe there's more. I want to believe I'm worth something. I want to believe you see me. So, if you're there, if you're real, if you really love me like they say, then show me. Save me. Break these chains.
Set me free.
I can't do this alone. I've tried. I'm not strong enough. But if you're strong enough, if you can save someone like Amina, then maybe you can save me too. I'm yours. Right now, in this moment, I choose you. I don't know what comes next. I'm terrified. But I'm choosing freedom over slavery. Truth over lies. Love over fear. I'm choosing you, Jesus.
Save me. Please.
I'm yours. Sister, if you prayed that prayer, if you meant it even a little bit, then everything just changed. Yours now. A daughter of the King. And nothing can take that away. The road ahead won't be easy.
I won't lie about that.
But you won't walk it alone. Jesus is with you. Every step. Every breath. Every moment.
And you have sisters now.
Women like me, like Fatima, like Nadia, like Yasmin. Women who've walked through fire and survived. Women who will fight for you, pray for you, stand with you. You are not alone. You are seen. You are loved. You are free. Don't wait, sister. Don't let one more day pass as a slave. Don't let fear win. Don't let tradition steal another moment of your life. Jesus is calling your name.
Today. Right now.
Answer him. Choose freedom. Choose life. Choose him. I'm Amina. Formerly a child bride, a piece of property, a girl with no value. Now, I'm a daughter of the King. Beloved.
Free. Whole.
And if Jesus can do that for me, a 13-year-old girl sold for $5,000 and a business deal, then sister, he can do it for you too. I promise you.
He can. He will.
He already is. Just say yes. If you or someone you know needs help escaping abuse, forced marriage, or religious persecution, please reach out.